looks really nice. Now see, with the custom can strap, that's very comfortable. This does look like a very smart headphone. So I'm going to go ahead and install the other Supergirl on the other side, and then let's look at the measurements. So these are the frequency graphs taken on my mini DSP ears. On the top you'll see the Arya Stealth, and on the bottom is the Edition XS with the custom can Supergirls attached. Now in a little while I'm going to show you the Edition XS without the Supergirls, but first I'm just going to do a comparison between these. This is a very high-end headphone, the Arya Stealth, which originally retailed for well over £1,000, £1,300 or more when it debuted. Now you'll notice that the information is coming across quite similarly. The tuning is similar between these two headphones. Now notice on the left hand side, have a look at the far left, you'll see the number 50, and notice the red line is above that for the Arya Stealth compared to the Edition XS with the Supergirls. Now when listening to the headphones, I did notice that there is more impact with the Arya Stealth. However, one area there is slightly more impact with the XS with Supergirls is around about, see that spike on the right hand side between 4 and 5K. There's slightly more pronounced information for very sharp instruments in that register. So I'd say piano key strikes have just a little bit more oomph to them with the XS with Supergirls. The Arya, there's more information across the board when it's the same with the sub bass, the mid bass. There's slightly more spatial awareness, better imaging, so better separating of the instruments. However, with the Supergirls, this is very much improved, and it's brought closer to the Arya Stealth compared to the conventional XS without the Supergirls. Now the biggest change you'll notice is there's a slight recess in the, I would say, the lower treble, where the vocals are with the Edition XS with the Supergirls compared to the Arya Stealth. What this means when listening to vocals is there's more pronounced, I would say, weight to female vocals with the Supergirls headphones, and there is slightly more of an even differentiation between male and female vocals on the Arya Stealth. So there's a bit more consistency with the Arya Stealth. However, male vocalists come across particularly well with the Arya Stealth. Female vocals take slightly more of a backseat, just very, very slightly. Whilst with the Edition XS with Supergirls, I would say it depends on the singer. It depends on the vocalist. Some singers, I would say a soprano will come across with a little bit more punch with the Supergirl headphones, from what I can hear. Now have a look at the upper treble, and you'll notice there's actually more information with the I would say mid treble on the Edition XS with Supergirls. However, there's more information overall across the board, and with the I would say upper treble, there's a little bit more finite detail and punch with the Arya Stealth with the upper compared to the lower treble. Okay, so it does depend on which track you're listening to on these headphones. So they are very similar sounding headphones. They sound now as though they're definitely from the same family. There's more detail across the board with the Arya Stealth, but it's very, very close with the Supergirl headphone. And then down to smoothness, I would say now the Edition XS, which was slightly uneven in parts, could sound a little bit harsh at times. Now it's very smooth experience across the board with the Supergirls. And I would say that probably, I would say yes, they are as smooth as the Arya Stealth. So very, very big improvement. So now let's look at the frequency comparison between the XS original, the XS with Super Grills, and I'm going to just throw in the XV because this is the latest headphone just come out, and just as an interesting comparison, because the Edition XV has been brought in as the replacement to the XS. However, it is a very different headphone. So looking at all of the comparisons, so all three frequency graphs for all three headphones, at the top we have the XV in red, green is the XS with Super Grills, and blue is the XS original. Now, have a look at where I've put a green line across the image. What I'm doing there is I'm trying to convey how close these are together with the energy of certain frequencies, certain parts of the frequency. So if you have a look at the lower bass on all three, you'll notice that the most impactful, the one with the most bumps above that green line, is actually the Edition XV. So that has the most, I would say, oomph, deep rumble. Now, if you look at the mid bass, okay, you'll notice that the information on the XS original, they have a little bit more of a bump in the mid bass compared to the XS with the Super Grills. However, the transition is very much smoother. I would say that the bass comes across generally as smoother with the Super Grill headphones. Now, going on to the mids, the I would say the mids are slightly further forwards. I would say male vocals are slightly further forwards with the with the XS original. So the Supergirl headphones, it just brings that deep guttural kind of male vocalist's voice a little bit further back in the mix, whilst female vocals are noticeably brought more forwards now compared to the XS original. So that is an interesting flavour difference. Okay, so if you really like your male deep-voiced singers, you might prefer the XS original, whilst if you prefer beautiful kind of ethereal female vocals, then you might prefer the XS with the Supergirls. Okay, now going up to the lower treble, these are very, very similar. I would say there's hardly any difference at all. There's a little bit more of a pronounced, I would say, perception of detail on both the XS original and Supergirl than on the new headphone, which is slightly more bass emphasized and smoother, but slightly dulled in the mid treble. Okay, so the XV, I'd say you could say it, some people might find it slightly less exciting, but also less aggressive there. Now going up to the upper treble, you'll notice certainly the XS with the Supergirls brings in a whole lot of more detail, and it actually is the most detailed of the three. It has the most information in the upper treble. Okay, but it enables that in a very smooth way. The whole presentation of sound with the XS with Supergirls is noticeably smoother than on the original XS. Okay. Finally, when it comes down to sound staging, I would say the original XS, I would say it has slightly wider field to the sound stage than on with the Supergirl headphone. But I would say that the depth between instruments and the sense of positioning and is actually better with the Supergrill headphones than with the originals. And then finally, looking at the XV, I would say that the Supergrill headphone and the XV perform similarly well when it comes to the positioning of instruments, those spaces between the instruments. Okay, so that's it for now. I very much enjoyed reviewing the Supergrill mod from Custom Cans. So thank you very much to Custom Cans for letting me try this out. Let me know in the comments section if any of you have bought these yourselves, and let me know what you think. Do you disagree with any of my observations? And yes, until next time, I hope you do have a look at my other videos, and thank you very much. Goodbye.